I don't want to disappoint you, but this third of three intro PowerPoints is short, and try not to get too sad. To repeat, the major goal of culture anthropology is to understand how cultures resemble and differ from each other. We like to make the strange familiar, meaning understanding what might strike us as different, what might put us into cultural shock, what might cause ethnocentric reactions, and understand it. To avoid universals, as I said, understand, if not accept, cultural universities, and very important, to grasp how our own ethnocentricity shapes our worldview and the worldview of others, how we are all products of a culture. To appreciate the values and ethics differ across cultures, and for you to gain 3 credits while satisfying values, writing, and pluralism requirements. Yeah, you're mercenaries. Our primary methodology is participant observation. You're going to see that in the first 2 articles by Richard Lee on the Kung and Laura Bohannon on the Tive. And that's living and working with people you study, ideally for 1 year, with the expectation to experience their 4 seasons, ideally eating the same foods, wearing the same clothing, living under the same conditions, and if possible, speaking the same languages and following their values. And again, most important of all, protecting these people. Because you're going to observe people, you're going to learn secrets, and you have to decide what you're going to share with others and what you won't. Richard Lee took this very well to the extreme. The people he observed, and he makes fun of himself in the article, would be extinct now if it wasn't for Richard Lee bringing the world's attention to the plight of the people he was working with. We try to look at culture from the inside. We look at all aspects of human behavior, how they make a living, how their kinship works. We have a very unique kinship that doesn't work so well. Same with our marriage. We have 50% of our marriages ending up in divorces, so there's something wrong. How they even face reproduction, gender identity. Until very recently in our society, it was male or female, not reality, but that's what we publicly discussed. Now we know it's many more. Other cultures accept and encourage other genders. How goods are exchanged and distributed, political practices, religious systems, communications, and how they express art. But the real thing that's important in culture, and this goes back to the first presentation, it's always changing, and it is learned, not instinctual. Always changing, learned, not instinctual. Here's that repeat myself thing again. We developed in hand with imperialism, and this didn't change till the late 1960s. And our primary obligation is to protect people. Anthropologists could do what I'm doing, entertaining you. We could work for the government. Many are hired by their former subjects. Advertising is a big role for anthropologists. Working in museums, archaeologists, for the government, and for museums again, toy companies, and forensics. Think of the TV show Bones, for example. And applied anthropology involves the use of any or all subfields to help solve problems. Okay, here's an applied anthropology story. A horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Why such a long face?" Oh, that's not the anthropology one. An anthropologist walks into a bar, get it, bar, and hits his head. What does he say? Ouch. Applied anthropology involves the use or application of any and all subfields. A cultural anthropologist goes into a bar with an Eskimo, an archaeologist, a linguist, and a physical anthropologist. They are discussing how the Eskimo, he's complaining that his grandfather and ancestors for thousands of generations were able to hunt herring, but that's been now banned by the government. So the linguist, the archaeologist, the cultural anthropologist, and physical anthropologist all gathered evidence about how this was an innate part of their culture. They actually took it to court, and now in Alaska, Eskimo could hunt herring, fish for herring where other groups cannot. Now, one more thing. Go to Blackboard and see what's next in store for you. Okay, slideshow's over.